Hi there. Thank you so much for listening to Grounded in Maine today. My name is Amy Fagan, and I have a special guest today. My guest is Angela Hollowell. I have been following Angela on LinkedIn for probably 2.5 years. She's doing some really, really awesome stuff, so many different things. And Angela now lives not too far from me, like an hour and a half, maybe in North Carolina. And so someday maybe we'll do this in person.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
But Angela, thank you so much for being here. I am thrilled to share all that you're doing.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
So I want to start by reading. I'm just going to read because I can't say it any better, but your bio. Um, so this is your company is called Rootful Media, and she's not looking now because I'm talking about her. Is that it? Anyway, Angela's business is called Rootful Media, and it develops purpose-driven creative oh my gosh, I'm going to start over. Rootful Media develops purpose-driven creative projects across film, digital, and social platforms. The company is committed to inclusive visual storytelling that promotes community building, meaningful conversations, exceeded it has exceeded fundraising goals and lasting change. Rootful Media works with regional organizations and national enterprises to amplify diverse groups and voices. Their work takes a documentary approach to narrative storytelling and in the environmental justice and human rights industries while striking a balance between dynamic visual imagery and human connection. And that is a lot of words, but it really sums up everything that you're doing. So Angela is a filmmaker and she is a podcaster and she is a writer. But so I've been following her. Her podcast is called Honey and Hustle, but you have a second one. You have a second one? You
Yeah, so I did a branded
short-lived,
show with Castos,
right?
called Creative Architects. So yeah.
Creative architects, right? And now you've got two films almost in the can, like documentary films. One I saw the trailer for, it's called Trail Therapy, and it's excellent. And that is about a woman who she is practicing therapy in on trail. So it's walking therapy is what she calls it, right? So
Hmm.
like you walk side by side and talk your stuff out, which is so, so beautiful and cool. And then there's another one that you've got coming out soon called Saying Goodbye to Forever Chemicals.
Hmm.
That's big stuff. Um,
Yeah.
and you've got, I mean, and now there's a new project that you're working on, working with called the Dogwood Alliance. If you want to talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, so I came to know the Dogwood Alliance through a previous board member. They were on the advancement committee. So if anybody knows anything about nonprofits, nonprofits have boards and boards have committees, and it's a whole thing. And so that was my kind of first experience, really volunteering directly with a nonprofit in an ongoing basis like that. And on the advancement committee of Dogwood Alliance, we're really talking about marketing and communication strategy and fundraising strategy to advance the organization. Dogwood Alliance does a lot of forest and climate justice work. Yes, in the Southeast because they're based in Asheville, but also all across the country and across the globe. U.S. Southeast is just one of the most logged places in the country and in the world. And so that's where a lot of their focus and expertise is. Um, I didn't have any experience in that really, especially in logging and the wood pellet industry. But I do care deeply about environmental justice in the South, and this is definitely an element of that. So it's been really great to work alongside them to help further their mission and their work.
For sure. Oh, wow. Yeah, I mean it just opens your eyes to so many different things in the environmental realm field that, that all are part of um the area of nature of how things work. And so you were saying there was like logging and pellets and stuff like that. So yeah, I mean, especially in the mountains, they're going to need
Yeah.
heat. Yeah. Um, but and so and this is a group that it's a group that you're in, right? That you're learning about, or is this a new project altogether?
So this
That,
is a nonprofit organization. I didn't found this organization. I just came to, I am now a board member, but at the time that I first met them, I was just on a board committee. Um, and yeah, they've been around, I think, for about 30 years, based out of Asheville the whole time. So they've been kind of deeply entrenched in a lot of the conversations around like the wood pellet industry, around like the paper industry, and just how unsustainable it is, how much it hurts our planet, how much does not get recycled and really does end up back in our landfills, which is really toxic. And typically, landfills are nearer to communities of color and more poor communities. So, what does that mean for them and their health in the long term if we continue to, one, strip them of their natural resources and then dump it back on them in the form of waste? Like, that's just not a sustainable
right,
circular economy that we're going for here,
right?
right?
Yeah.
So yeah.
Wow. I never thought about that, but that makes it's so true, isn't it? Like the folks that are near the landfill are they're not the well-to-do typically people. And so people that are not they're not being careful about their trash and recycling and composting and whatever, like that stuff all ends up in the landfill and it doesn't affect them so much, but they're not thinking about their neighbors who are going to be very affected by that. Wow. I didn't think about that. I mean, literally in my at my home in Maine, we were right down the road from the landfill.
Yeah,
But and I was nervous about like our water system. So I totally get that.
yeah.
Um, and so what brought you to this group?
Yeah, so I mentioned a previous board member is the one that kind of, I guess, recruited me per se. They, had been on the board for a long time and were looking for someone who was already kind of in the environmental justice and sustainability space. And my name came up, I guess, in conversation, and they kind of invited me to an advancement committee meeting so I could kind of see what it was like and see if I wanted to be a part of that or felt like I could contribute. Um, and ultimately, I ended up saying yes, not because I felt like I knew everything, but definitely because I felt like I was interested in learning more and interested in learning how we can elevate the conversation from people feeling like it is this individual thing, like, oh, I just need to recycle more, I need to use less paper products, and really understand that this is more of an industry issue. This is a corporate issue and a policy issue, really. There are things that can be done and at the policy level to ensure the safety, environmental safety of people as we are thinking about how to sustainably shift away from using wood and paper products. Um, and those conversations need to be had with the community, not like about the community, and not definitely not by the highest bidder who can just afford to pay a politician to support, the policies that work for them. So how, I guess the biggest question that maybe I walked away with from that first meeting is how can we include more people in the conversation? Um, and what is my role in that?
Right? Well, I mean, you have a platform for one.
Yeah, I
You
do
have more than
that.
one platform.
Yeah.
But that's going to be super helpful, I'm sure. But it's just good to just bring that to light. These issues that are not really talked about or swept under the rug because they're less big than maybe other things, but not no less important at all.
Yeah.
Um, and so you're thinking it's your understanding is that it's more like policy, it's upper level stuff that is just, not, yeah, of course it is.
Well, I mean, like, and I guess I can maybe get a little more specific here. Ultimately, organizations like the EPA, would ideally hold corporations accountable for environmental pollution. Um, but as we've seen, that is a struggle, and their power and willingness to do so can vary from administration to administration, can
Mhm.
vary from elected official to elected official. And really, and I think I speak for everyone in America right now in this moment. What we want is stability, right? What we want is the graph to go up and to the right in terms of, our feelings of safety and quality of life and health, you know. We want all those things to get better
Right.
ultimately.
Instead of
Um,
up and down every 4 years.
Right, or even every 2 years,
Right.
like it really should be a little more
Right.
consistent and stable in terms of that. And I think, when you think about nonprofits, that is one thing that I think, way that I view them is they are meant to be organizations that are stable and provide stability for communities. And I really think that Dogwood is a part of that for sure.
Awesome. And so, I mean, not even, but along with Dogwood Alliance, like your podcast, you deal with a lot of these issues, in more intimate conversations, of course, because you're often interviewing people that are CEOs or small business owners, right?
Yeah,
It's been a
yeah,
while since I've heard your podcast, but I feel like you've talked to a lot of like smaller business owners that are kind of, trying to make changes and make things happen.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. Um, and so while my podcast, Honey and Hustle specifically, is not necessarily focused on the environment. We do have had, founders on, one of which was a nonprofit founder who works on, the circular economy and like reducing waste in Durham. I think when I think about Honey and Hustle, I really think it's about adding positivity in the media space, like, you know, um, maybe a little more authenticity there. And when I say authenticity, what I mean is like uncommon honesty. Like if you walk up to, your local restaurant that you love, and you ask them how they're doing, they're probably going to tell you they're doing great, even if they're not sure how they're going to make payroll next week, right?
mhm.
They, it's not that they mean to lie to you, it's just that, that's not a conversation they're trying to get into with their average visitor.
Right.
And so I try to bring in a little of that, like, well, how are you doing? Not just today, but like in general, how do you feel about the health of your business? How do you feel about, your journey to getting where you are now? Um, and I think that has to do with it. I think and I hope that more conversations will be had, whether they're on a podcast or some other format around like how do people feel about the environment that they live in? How do they feel about their health? How has that changed when they move from place to place? Like, how do you, like after you hit your 1 year in Virginia, like it might be good for like, someone came and said, "Hey, Amy, how do you feel now that you moved from Maine to Virginia? How do you feel like your life has changed? Your health has gotten better, your food has gotten, cleaner, easier to access, like all those type of things." Because I think like because we're so in the day to day, it's just like something we don't think about. But I hope that
Mhm.
people do start to think about it.
Right. Yeah. 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 They're conversations that we don't often have. And so for someone to say, how are you doing really?
Yeah, yeah,
What's going on with you? Yeah, I think that's great. And I love that about your podcast because I can feel from you your passion for what you're doing and your passion for the environment and your area. So you're very community focused, and I think it's such a beautiful thing that you're so niched into the Durham Raleigh area that you are. I just think it's so great that you are just really focused on that area and that you are making yourself known and people know that you're there and they know that they can, look to you for, some, I don't know. I mean, some oh gosh, I can't think of my words, but if they need a little boost with the business or something like, hey,
yeah.
because you have that platform. But
Hmm.
so you've got a lot of things going on. And because you're also writing a lot.
Unfortunately, yes, that is true.
But like how do you prioritize things? Is it like whatever's giving you the money at the moment?
That would be smart. That would mean I wouldn't be writing, that's for sure. But I hate to say that. You can't make money writing. I just have not made significant amount of money writing yet. Um,
Yeah.
I would say, and that's a hard question. And to be frank, I'm not perfect at prioritization. Maybe I should be by now, but I think ultimately I typically lean on whatever is giving me the most creative energy. And I think 2024 has been an incredible year for me creatively. I'm incredibly proud of, what I've built with the newsletter, Please Also Responsibly, and what we've built with Trail Therapy. I think those were two really great signature pieces for the year.
Mhm.
I wish I was more consistent with my podcast. Like I started off hot in February and then I kind of trailed off a little bit and trying to, get back into the rhythm of posting episodes again more regularly.
Well, you're making movies, man.
That's true. That is also true.
I mean, that's why I was just asking, like, how do you hold it all together? There are just so many things.
Sometimes I don't, Sometimes it just kind of, I do what I can. I do the best I can. I'm also not consistent with posting like YouTube videos, like, you know, um, yeah, I wish I had a better answer. I think right now, I think I've been the most consistent this year with the newsletter and with um, both creating and marketing Trail Therapy. And I think that comes down to two things. One, with Trail Therapy, I have a team at least, and that feels amazing to be creating something alongside people and to have created something that we're so proud of, and to have done way better than what I imagined we would do in terms of getting this film in front of people. Like I feel really good about that. And so like when you're getting like positive feedback from a creative project, it's easier to keep going, right? Like I feel like with YouTube and even sometimes with a podcast, it's just like if a like if I put a lot of effort into a YouTube video and then it doesn't do well, and by doesn't do well, I mean like get like 100 views in like, the first day or something, then I feel like, oh man, like ugh, I just put all this work and nobody's is watching and
Right?
all this type of stuff. So it kind of hits harder. And I wish it didn't hit my ego as much as it does, but it does. And so it can be hard for me to keep going even when I batch content. Um, and the podcast, same thing. Like if I feel like I've done a really good job and I've had a really great conversation and maybe the feedback isn't, as resounding as what I would like, then
Hmm.
sometimes it's hard for me to like push past that and keep publishing episodes when you just never know which ones are going to do well and which ones aren't. But with the newsletter, you know, um, it feels like that graph is going up and to the right so much. Like I don't even care about the people that unsubscribe because it's such a relatively low number. And we've seen such positive things there. One with open rates continuing to be really good, the subscriber count continuing to go up, um, engagement, click-through rate being really good, and people responding, like either responding to the email or commenting on the post itself. Like all of those things to me are like positive feedback. And then sometimes, I'm not gonna lie, I'll write it at 3 a.m. and send it at 7 a.m. And, you know, but forcing myself to
I
stick
feel
to
that.
a 2 article a week schedule has been the best thing ever because like it forces me to not think about the previous one so much. Like you have to move on to get the next one out. Like you can't dwell on it. And maybe if I gave myself that kind of rigor with YouTube, maybe it would be better as well. Like don't dwell on that one video. Keep moving towards the next video
Mhm.
because like you're gonna see that probably, and I think I will see this if I can commit to it, but like, you know, video over video is going to vary a lot, but if you look like month over month, it's going to look a lot better, right? Like it's going to even out a lot more, and your perception of what is good and what is bad is going to also change. Like even with articles that maybe didn't get as high open rates or as much click-through rates or engagement or whatever, like I don't necessarily think it's a bad article. I just think one, I either could have packaged it better, or two, it's just not something my audience cares about. And that's also good to know. Like let me write more things that, are relevant and valuable to them. And I think that's how I would look at it too. So, in terms of prioritization, for me, also I just really enjoy writing, so I've been doing that a lot more, but I am going to try to force myself to at least get consistent with creating videos more often because again, like we did trail therapy, but not, and we finished the documentary on PFAS water contamination, but like I'm ready to do more, like I feel like with the team I could do more and I worked with the team on both of those, so I really want to focus on like how can I put myself in a position to work on more team film projects. So
Oh, I was just going to ask, do you feel like you work better with team, like creatively? Do you work better with a team or do you work better on your own?
I would say for filmmaking, I definitely enjoy working with a team more. Like I'm fine being the person that's moving the needle forward and really pushing us to continue to progress on, a film, being that director, producer type role. But I do love having like, Jordan and like my editor come in and kind of give me feedback on like what they're thinking and feeling as well. Um, and help take the load off of me to do everything. I think I just think better when I can focus more on like one to two things rather than like the whole filmmaking process.
Hmm.
And as they say, filmmaking is the greatest team sport ever, and that's what it is. And it feels great to do that. Um, and Sharon as well, who was the subject of that documentary, she's been a great, person to give us feedback as well. Like, hey, have you thought about this? Have you thought about this? Have you tried this? Have you submitted the film here? Like all these great things. So it's really been great on both ends of the spectrum there. When it comes to writing, I have noticed that when I'm writing a narrative script, people don't always give me a whole lot of feedback. And then it's not even maybe that they don't have it. I think it's maybe that I need to get better at communicating what type of feedback is helpful so they can kind of know what to react to.
Oh yeah, that
Um,
makes sense. I mean, I would tend to like not, I don't want to judge someone's like heartfelt,
yeah,
thoughts.
yeah,
So I wouldn't want to, criticize or give judgment of anything, but I would always say, wow, that gives me a lot to think about or something like that. Uh,
yeah. And I think I noticed that too with like, let's say my video editors, for example, like whenever I would write a creative brief or something, like it took me a minute to get good at writing a good creative brief. Like this is what I'm looking for, so that when they give me something, they understand like what are my must-haves and what are some of the areas that they can kind of inject their own style into it and their perspective as well. And I think with writing, I just haven't gotten as good at that. Like I haven't gotten as good at, you know, one, articulating what I want or what my goal is with the piece, whether that's a script or an article, and also saying like when editing, these are the things I'm looking for on feedback. Like, does the story work? Are there gaps in the story? If you are my target audience, what are the things you would like to see? What questions would you have? Does the story flow well? How
mhm,
can we make it better? Those types of things. Like, I'm still learning how to work through a collaborative um, thing in terms of writing.
mhm. And I mean, writing is a newer thing for you. Is that true or is that not true?
Yeah, yeah, definitely writing long form and writing narrative stuff is new. That's a 2024 thing.
Okay. Well, that's, you're not going to be awesome at it instantly. I mean,
But don't you just want to be though? Does it,
oh, for
like
sure, for
don't
sure.
you?
We want to be good at everything all the time, sure. But
Yeah,
that's a lot to expect of yourself.
it
But
is.
that's something that it will become more comfortable, right? As you go along and more people will catch on and maybe the people that are meant to read what you're writing will find you.
Yeah, I think so. And I mean, like again, like I'm fine with, the
But you've got
process.
growth.
Yeah, yeah.
So shut up.
Thank you.
You're doing great.
Yeah. I have to tell myself that sometimes. Like literally whenever I'm writing my daily notes or my morning pages, sometimes at the end I'll be like, "You're doing great, sweetie." Keep going.
I love that.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. That's really awesome. You call yourself sweetie. I like that. Good job. Good job. And so let's see. So how did you get into filmmaking?
On accident.
Yeah. I mean,
Um,
because you're a visual creator,
yeah. Yeah. So I started with photography first. But even at the end of, let's say 2018, like I knew that if I could do photo and video really well, like I could name my own price as a freelancer because there just were so few people that did that, and let alone people that did video at all, really. Like that was still really new
right?
for people to be like a freelance filmmaker. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And so again, like I was bad at it at first, and maybe I should just accept that you're just gonna have to be bad at things at first until you get good, because I was definitely not great the first time I cut. Like I didn't know anything about like video for real. I just knew how to press record. You know what I mean? I knew how to look cute, and that was it. Um, or like make the video look cute, like because I was a photographer,
No, I
like
heard what you said.
oh, that's not what I meant. Yes. Yeah, so it was a learning process to like, oh, okay, like this is the proper way, these are the proper settings for video, and like how to get better at it and how to edit, which is still the bane of my existence, but I'm much better at it now. Um, and so yeah, but I was mostly really editing for other people. I was editing for clients and for little passion projects, but putting a film together, I've made some bad short films. Um, but it was, trial and error. You got to make something bad before it can get good. And there's a lot of learning, a lot of YouTube University, a lot of like, even in North Carolina now, which I'm really grateful for, like getting on set with people who have been in the film industry for a while,
Oh.
and just learning from their process and learning how they did things. So, um, yeah, it was filmmaking for me, especially the learning process has been very like hybrid between like self-taught and like apprentice, and like, um, yeah, just like really learning by doing and learning by messing up. And I don't necessarily know that going to school to get a film degree would have gotten me out of that like iterative process. So,
Oh, and I'm sure, I mean, just technology changes so quickly that anything that you learn is going to be, obsolete almost instantly. It seems like that anyway. I mean, I just
yeah.
do Zoom
But,
video.
but like let them tell it AI is going to take my job in 3 years, so it won't matter anyway, I guess. But I'm joking. I'm joking. It's
We'll
not
see
taking my job. I don't believe that at all. Um,
about that.
yeah.
But so I think it's really cool that you, well, funny, that you don't like editing, but you were editing for people
Yeah.
because everyone else hates editing more than you do. That must be it.
Or they just didn't know how. Like it wasn't,
Right. You know how to do it. You just don't, it's not your favorite thing.
right, which is
But
why
if
I
you're
get
doing it for money,
correct. Yeah. But even now, I'm just like, I'll just pass an editing project off. I'm just like, somebody else is better at this and likes this and would do it way faster. And
that's where the
yeah,
team is.
yeah, yeah. So,
Yeah, everyone hates editing. I think people that like editing are weird. I don't,
right. But like, love that for them. Let me hire you for a project, but I
for
don't want
real,
it. I don't want
real. Like
it.
I just want to buy him a treat. Like I don't understand you, but here,
Yeah.
have this.
Yeah.
But so I mean that just it says so much about you that it's been a big learning process for you, learning filming, but you're doing it anyway. Like it's not something you didn't go to school for it. It's not something that you grew up around. You just were doing, some short film stuff
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
now you're big time.
A medium time. I'm trying to get to big time, you know.
Getting
But
there.
yeah, but I mean, I feel like trail therapy is it's a good one to really be kind of like maybe my first signature piece that's doing a film festival run. So that's good. But definitely, I mean, I would say September was my 8th year in business. So it took 8 years for me to get here. For anybody that's curious. So
Right. But so you've got podcasts, you've got filmmaking, and now you're writing 8 years. That's a lot. That's a lot of stuff. Um, Tell me about the film festival.
yeah, so film festivals are lovely. They are a lovely time because it's almost like you just get all the film lovers out of their house and like into a theater or a space where they can watch a film with you and get to meet the filmmakers. So for me, I experienced my first film festival when I was actually living in Birmingham, Alabama, Sidewalk Film Festival. Absolutely beautiful, magical time. And now to be on the other end as a filmmaker and like that's also very beautiful to be on both ends of it. Sidewalk is a bucket list film festival for us. I really hope we get in trail therapy, so fingers crossed, but just to bring it full circle, but it's lovely. It's amazing. It's just a magical, magical space where beautiful conversations happen and yeah.
And people
I,
see you
I
for what you're doing.
yeah, it was the first one was nerve-wracking. Like when you're in the room and you're like, okay, people are about to watch this that I don't know. And I'm gonna see when they like clock out or they like start looking at their phone because they're bored. Like, you know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Yep.
I would say that's the biggest thing about like when people are like, oh, why isn't it public on YouTube? And it's like, well, we could have done that. We could have just tried to continue to drive traffic to that video via YouTube. We could have definitely done that. But I think like it's so different when like you've created something and you now have to like face the music. Like, when someone's on YouTube, you don't really know if they watch the whole thing. If they leave a comment or not, like, if they do, great, but if they don't, then you never really know how they felt about it. Um, yeah, and you never get to see or hear like the impact that the film makes beyond like entertaining them? And so for us, like being able to one host our own independent film screening, but then do a film festival run, it's really about like, can we like one create an experience that people will love around that, but then also like get real-time feedback about like, what this film did for people and like how they perceived it and like use that as like again a launch point to like get people to watch it on YouTube when we do put it on YouTube, right? Like here's all the feedback we've gotten. These people loved it. This is what they got from it. Like you might like it too, right? So it's also strategic for us to wait as long as possible to drive people to a YouTube video. From a feedback, I still think people should think more about marketing than what they do. And I do think that word of mouth is always going to be our most powerful driver of people wanting to engage with whatever it is that we're doing or selling or creating. And for us, like the best way to get feedback has been through these film festivals. So that's been really great.
Oh my gosh, to be a fly on the wall, that would have been so cool. I can only imagine how great the feedback was.
Yeah. Yeah, we really loved it.
I mean, were you like watching people watching the movie and like looking for blue light? Like
Yeah. Yes,
really?
I was. I was like, let me see who pulls out their phone. When did
But
they
it's
pull it
such a
out?
beautiful film. I can't imagine that someone would want to like just
Not
release
many
that.
people did, to their credit, which I appreciate and respect. And again, like I think film festivals and film screenings just bring out the people that love film anyway. So
Right,
they're
right.
already kind of primed to love you. It's almost like a music artist going to a music festival. Like, people already want to love you. All you have to do is
Yeah.
best. So yeah, so that's really a great place to get feedback to you for sure.
And now how many film festivals have you been to with trail therapy?
Two or three. I should know the exact number. I think it's two. Um, we're hoping for some more. It may be three, two or three, something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
It was a busy year.
Yeah, busy year. Yeah.
Where are we today?
Yeah, right.
Wow. Oh my gosh. So, I have a couple more questions. How can people find everything that you're doing?
Great question. The best answer I can give you is probably my website at www.rootfulmedia.com.
Okay.
Um, on the About page, if you want to see my personal website or the podcast, they're also on there. They can see my client work. They can see originals, which I call originals. So my original projects, both the PFAS film and trail therapy. And my first documentary film that I didn't put as much thought into marketing to as I should, which is on cycling film. So that's on my website.
That's the East Coast Greenway Alliance.
So we did
Uh,
I did a film in collaboration with them and outdoor storytelling fellowship program. And the film is called Changing Gears.
oh,
Um,
okay.
yeah, so that's on my website.
That's right. I remember that now.
Mhm.
Uh,
See, marketing. You don't see, that's how it goes. Like,
I see
like
so many things and my memory is not good these days.
it's all good.
But
All good.
God, you've done so much. It's amazing. And I love that it's all focused on the environment and and you were saying like environmental justice and all the good stuff that you're doing. I think it's wonderful that you are so you're just so authentically you. I mean, you're not like trying to do these super showy films or anything like that. Like I am Angela Hollowell and I am passionate about these things and I'm not gonna like stray from that. I'm just focused on my area and talking about what's important to me.
Yeah. I think there will always be an element of that to my work. I don't know if I ever see myself not making documentary films. But the narrative stuff I've been writing is very different. It's not really environmental justice based.
Yeah.
So I'm curious to see how my audience will react to that.
All right.
Yeah,
Cool. Well, that's a fun thing.
yeah, yeah. It'll be
Um,
good.
and then so I ask this of everyone on the podcast, what does the word sustainability mean to you?
Sustainability to me means longevity, right? Like, what are the things that we're doing now that we can say we will still be doing 5 years from now, 10 years from now, and that they'll be good for us, right? And that we're going to reap good rewards from them. Um, and I say that because, when you think about, let's say, biking infrastructure, right? Or um, making sure that the outdoors are safe and accessible for everyone. Those are the things that, can really get lost in the sauce of everyday conversations. And people can really nitpick about, well, what's really good for the environment and what's not, or, why do we need to make an about face on certain things right now, and we've been doing it for this long and it's been working, whether that's car centric infrastructure or whatever. And the thing is, like, in 5 years, the impact of driving gasoline powered cars are still going to be significantly bad, right? In 5 years, the impact of replacing shorter car trips with bikes and investing in biking and walking infrastructure is going to be a resounding positive thing.
Hmm.
And so that's what I think about when it comes to sustainability.
Awesome. Very good.
Mm.
Is there a message that you would like to leave us all with? Anything that we didn't touch on yet?
Green spaces for everyone. That's my only message. I think no matter who you are, no matter what industry you work in, no matter where you live, you need green space to have a healthy life. And so I'm just a big advocate for green spaces for everyone.
Ooh, fantastic. I
Mm.
love that.
Yeah.
Um, I am actually in my new area. I'm talking about I'm meeting with someone tomorrow about maybe starting up some community gardens.
Nice. Nice. Yeah.
Um, but that would be my use of green space.
Nice. I like it. Yeah.
But Angela Hollowell, thank you so much. It is such a pleasure. And oh
Yeah.
my gosh, you guys, I've been listening to, and talking to Angela on LinkedIn for 2.5 years.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
finally this has happened. So I'm thrilled. But thank you so much for all that you're doing and continue to do. And I cannot wait to see full film of trail therapy and the PFAS movie and whatever else you have going on.
Lots of things going on. Hopefully we can have some more exciting moments in 2025. So,
All
yeah.
right. Thank you.
Thank you.